Have you ever sat by the window on a quiet afternoon, watching the wind move through the trees, and thought to yourself, why do I still carry so much weight on my shoulders? Not physical weight, but the kind that tugs at the soul, the regrets, the expectations, the should-have-dones. It's strange, isn't it? After all these years of living, giving, doing, somehow guilt still lingers like a shadow in the corner of the room. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. There comes a time in life, especially after 70, when you begin to see everything a little clearer. You realize just how quickly the years have gone, how much you've sacrificed, and maybe even how often you put yourself last. And while age brings wisdom, it doesn't always bring peace, not right away. Because for many of us, guilt has taken up permanent residence. Guilt for what we said, guilt for what we didn't say, guilt for not being the perfect parent, the perfect spouse, the perfect version of ourselves. But let me tell you something, and I hope you really hear this. You don't owe guilt anything anymore. Not at this age, not at this stage. This chapter of life is not about apologizing for who you are. It's about living your truth, without shame, without hesitation, and without carrying the heavy bags of old mistakes or outdated expectations. Today, we're going to talk about 6 powerful rules that can help you do just that. Not rules in the strict sense, but gentle reminders, guiding lights, and maybe, just maybe, the beginning of something lighter, freer, and truer. So let's ease into this together, starting with something simple, yet deeply challenging. The first rule is this: stop apologizing for putting yourself first. For decades, you've likely been the caretaker, the listener, the one who stayed quiet so others could speak louder. You've done things for family, friends, maybe even strangers, and that's beautiful. It speaks of your love, your strength, your generosity. But now it's your turn. Putting yourself first isn't selfish, it's necessary. And I'm not talking about extravagant things, though if you want that new garden swing or a solo trip to the coast, you absolutely deserve it. What I mean is letting yourself take the front seat in your own life. If you're tired, rest. If you're curious about something, explore it. If someone expects something from you that drains your spirit, it's okay to say, no, not today, because you've spent years showing up for others. You've earned the right to show up for yourself, and you don't need to explain or apologize for that. No more softening your desires with maybe later. No more guilt when you say no. This is your time, and you deserve to spend it in ways that fill you up, not empty you. The second rule is one many find the hardest to accept. Let go of the past, even if you can't forget it. You may not be able to rewrite the past, but you can choose how you carry it. The things that haunt you, the words said in anger, the decisions made in fear, the moments missed, they are not who you are today. They're only chapters in a much larger book. And believe me, those chapters don't define the whole story. Sometimes we hold on to guilt like it's proof that we cared, as if releasing it means we're saying it didn't matter. But that's not true. You can forgive yourself and still acknowledge the pain. You can let go and still carry wisdom. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, it's freeing. It's saying to yourself, I've learned from this, I've lived through it, and now I choose to walk forward without the chains of shame around my ankles. So when that quiet guilt creeps in, when it whispers, you should have done more, answer it gently. I did the best I could with what I knew at the time. And that's enough. You wouldn't speak harshly to a dear friend who made mistakes, would you? Then why be so hard on yourself? Be your own friend now. Be the voice that says, it's okay, you've grown, you're still growing. And that brings us to the third rule, one that often surprises people. Say what you really feel, even if your voice trembles. At this point in life, you've seen enough, felt enough, and endured enough to have earned your truth. Yet so many still hide it behind polite smiles or swallowed words. Maybe you don't want to upset anyone. Maybe you've been taught to keep the peace, but the peace outside you should never come at the cost of the peace within you. If there's something you need to say, whether it's "I love you," "that hurt me," or "this is what I need," say it. You've earned the right to speak freely. And not only that, you deserve to be heard. People may not always understand your truth. That's okay. You're not responsible for how others receive your honesty. You're only responsible for sharing it with kindness and courage. Because living your truth means being authentic, and authenticity is a gift, one that gets more precious as the years go on. So breathe deep, speak up. And as we continue walking this path together, let's take a deep breath and remind ourselves, living your truth doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's found in quiet moments of clarity, in small decisions that say, "This is who I am now." The next rule flows naturally from where we've been. Let go of roles that no longer serve you. All your life, you've worn many hats: mother, father, provider, caregiver, peacekeeper, volunteer, leader, helper. These roles helped define your days. They gave you purpose. But now, if certain roles feel more like obligations than passions, it's okay to let them go. You're not quitting, you're evolving. Maybe you don't want to be the one who always hosts the family dinner anymore. Maybe you don't feel like keeping up with every extended relative's expectations. Maybe that group or club you joined years ago no longer brings you joy. That's not failure, that's freedom, because your identity isn't fixed. It grows with you, and if parts of it feel heavy, tired, or untrue, then it's time to release them. You're allowed to create a new rhythm for your life, one that reflects who you are now, not just who you were for others. Sometimes we hold on to roles because they help others feel comfortable. But let me ask you this: when do you get to feel comfortable? What would it look like to give yourself permission to just be, without the title, without the expectation, without the pressure to keep playing a part that no longer fits? This isn't selfish. This is sacred. You've earned the right to retire from anything that no longer aligns with your spirit. It's okay to say, "That part of my life has passed. I'm ready for something new." And as you do that, you'll find space, beautiful, open space, to rediscover parts of yourself that may have been pushed aside for years, parts that long to be expressed again, which leads us to the fifth rule, a powerful one: do what brings you joy, even if no one else understands it. At this age, joy becomes a quiet rebellion, a statement, a declaration that life doesn't have to be small just because you're older, that you're allowed to laugh loud, try new things, wear bright colors, write poetry, paint badly, dance slowly in your kitchen, or sit in stillness for hours with a good book. Too often joy is seen as a luxury, something reserved for when the work is done, the chores are finished, or the grandchildren are settled. But joy is not a reward, it's a right. And you don't need to justify it to anyone. Maybe your joy looks like growing dahlias in the backyard. Maybe it's learning to play the piano at 75. Maybe it's turning off your phone and walking barefoot in the grass, just because it feels good. You don't need permission to feel alive. And you certainly don't need to ask approval from anyone to pursue what lights you up inside. Sometimes people won't get it. They might raise an eyebrow when you say you're taking an online course, or joining a yoga class, or learning Italian just because. That's okay. They don't have to get it. This isn't their journey. It's yours. And the more you honor your joy, the more you inspire others, especially the younger generations, to do the same, because they're watching. And when they see you living freely, truthfully, joyfully, it gives them courage to believe they can too. So never shrink your joy to fit someone else's expectations. Let it bloom, let it spill over, let it surprise even you. And while we're talking about joy and truth, there's one more thing to embrace deeply. Trust that who you are is enough. We spend so much of our lives striving, trying to be better, do more, fix things, prove our worth. But after 70, it's time to rest in the truth that you are already enough, right now, as you are, not for what you do, not for how much you give, not for what you've achieved, but for who you are simply by being. Your presence is enough. Your smile, your stories, your wisdom, your quiet strength, they matter. You don't need to earn your place in this world. You already have it. And guilt, that old familiar weight, it has no power here anymore. Because you're not defined by your past. You're shaped by your resilience, your compassion, your courage to keep growing. So sit with that truth for a moment. Let it settle in your bones. You are enough. No apology needed, no fixing required. Just the beautiful, imperfect, authentic soul you've always been, now stepping fully into the light of your own life. And now that you've sat with that truth, that you are enough, let's take a deeper breath together. Not the shallow kind we take when we're just getting by, but the full, grounded breath that says, I'm still here. I still matter. In this season of life, the world may try to tell you to slow down, sit quietly, or fade into the background. But let me say it clearly and gently. You are not done yet. You still have chapters to write, conversations to spark, joy to discover. You still have truths to live. The final rule I want to leave with you is this. Stop waiting for permission to live fully. So many people, especially after 70, live as if they're waiting for someone to say, it's your turn now. But that moment doesn't come unless you claim it. You don't need a green light. You are the green light. You've spent enough time hesitating, second-guessing, shrinking, deferring. Enough time waiting for the right moment or worrying about what others will think. The truth is, the right moment is now. It always has been. So if there's something tugging at your heart, a wish, a dream, a conversation, a decision, this is your time to listen. Don't let guilt tell you it's too late. Don't let fear whisper that you've missed your chance. You haven't. Living fully doesn't mean changing everything overnight. It can be simple. It can be quiet. It can start with the decision to stop apologizing for who you are and start honoring who you've become. Maybe you want to reconnect with someone. Maybe you want to finally put boundaries in place that should have been there long ago. Maybe you want to let go of old stories that kept you small. Or maybe you just want to wake up each day with a little more peace in your chest and a little less pressure in your mind. You can have that. You deserve that. But it starts with choosing to let go of guilt. The guilt that says you should be more, do more, please more. The guilt that keeps you looking back instead of forward. The guilt that has convinced you your worth is tied to sacrifice. It's not. Your worth is in your presence, in your laughter, in the way you notice the small things others miss, in the lessons you've learned, the love you've given, the strength you've shown. So here we are with the 6 rules that can help you live your truth after 70. Not rules written in stone, but soft invitations, gentle nudges, loving reminders that the rest of your life is yours, and it can be lived without apology, without guilt, and with so much more joy than you might have imagined. Now, before we part today, I want you to remember this above all else. It's never too late to return to yourself. Maybe you've been caring for others so long that you forgot what it felt like to care for you. Maybe you've been so focused on doing the right thing that you lost touch with what feels true. But the beauty of this moment, this age, this wisdom, this quiet strength, is that you get to come home to yourself. Not the person the world asked you to be, but the person you are, whole, worthy, enough. So go ahead. Take that walk by yourself, without explaining why. Start writing that story that's been sitting in your heart for years. Buy the red scarf, speak your mind, take that break, eat the dessert, say what you feel. This life is not a rehearsal. You've already played every supporting role there is. Now it's time to step into your truth and live as the main character in your own story. And if you ever need a reminder, come back to this video. Let these words echo in your heart. There's no shame in loving yourself, no guilt in choosing peace, and no need to apologize for finally putting yourself first. If these words touched you in any way, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Your stories matter. Your truth matters. And when we share them, we remind each other that we're not alone. If you found comfort here, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps others find it too. And if you'd like more honest, heartfelt conversations like this, don't forget to subscribe. There's so much more to explore, and I'd be honored to walk with you through it. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself. Here's to living your truth, with joy, with grace, and with no guilt at all.